One second, sir. And I just want to make sure I have I want to make sure I have the pronunciation right.
Yeah.
Is it Ponley?
Yeah, Ponley, yeah.
All right, pleasure to meet you, Ponley. It's Kel.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you too.
Looking forward
Um,
to this.
yeah, I am. I am. I think this is going to be really good. Um, so let's kick this off.
All right, let's do it. Let's go for it.
So hey everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is Ponley, the co-founder of Ankara Circle, and I'm here with Kel, the author of one of the most incredible, amazing stories on the Ankara Circle platform. How are you doing, Kel?
I'm doing well today, Ponley. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So for those who don't know, Kel authored the Hell Owl's Eve's Revenge. Uh, I hope I pronounced that right, because like the name is one of the things that struck out to me about the story.
No, all good. I honestly, I titled that kind of confusingly on purpose, just as kind of like an eye catch.
Yeah.
So this was originally one of my holiday short stories.
Hmm.
And it's based off of All Hallows Eve, which was,
Yeah.
what some buffs might say is like one of the original versions of Halloween. So I just kind of like, playfully contracted on that one, and that's where we got the title from.
Yeah, it's really smart because I think that was a recurring like theme throughout the story too, was like the different like names the difference between the name of like the main character and like the side characters of the holiday. Um, so if you don't mind, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, sure. So I suppose to give you this sort of elevator pitch, I'm Kell Inkston. I'm a I guess anonymous fantasy sci-fi author.
Yeah.
I'm best-selling on Amazon once or twice. Published with Butter Dragons, a Dutch publisher, for an upcoming sort of like a satirical men's like serial fiction thing.
Yeah.
There's plenty going on. I'm pretty happy with the way things have gone in the past couple of years. But anyways,
Yeah.
I write a lot. I also have like a day job. I work for like the government.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, I suppose I started all this just to express to people that nobody needs to know who you are, and it doesn't matter
Hmm.
who you are. You can still write good things and make
Yeah.
beautiful art, and you can still, do good things because of that.
Yeah. I mean that's amazing. Like that sounds like completely incredible. Um, I like excuse me for like I know Google's like a whole thing, so I actually did some like research too, and I stumbled on your website and read some of the
Oh
stories
dear.
there, and
All
it
right,
was
right on,
amazing.
sir. Right on.
Because I'm addicted to reading. It's one of the reasons why my brother and I started Anchor Circle because I can't like peel my eyes away from novels and I felt like the world you created in your story was very expansive, and even through reading it, I could kind of see like cues that there was like more to it. So I was really curious as to like, okay, who is like Kel, and what is this like world that he or they at the point in time I didn't know you were a man. I just like, okay, who's
That's
this?
fair. That's fair. I leave it vague. It's not necessarily just me. Like going
Yeah,
with he or they is probably fair. That's probably the
yeah,
easiest way to get along with it.
yeah. So I was like, yeah, let me see this world they've created, and I think you've done um some good work. So just to help people understand, like it's like Kel created this world where it's like it's a mythical fantasy world, and the story of Hell Owl's Eve Vengeance is about a minion's um kind of twist on Halloween, and it all goes like hilariously wrong and there's a lot of like antics and a lot of just really interesting like constructs that are in the story. So the first thing I'm really curious is like how did you come up with like the why did you pick the minion like concept specifically for your story?
All right, so the minionry, they popped up like very early in like the first book or two, just as kind of like a foil to High Overlord Chaos. I knew that
Yeah,
a proper Overlord's gotta have some minions, and
yeah,
understanding Chaos is like extremely one-track kind of mind. It would sort of make sense to have followers who had extremely specific jobs. Like, you
yeah,
just give them a name, regardless if that's who they are as a person or if that's what they want, and you're like, oh, you're suddenly cooking minion, and
Yeah.
that's suddenly their job.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes this is exactly what they want. Like usually it is. Usually they get to pick their job and they love it.
Mhm.
Sometimes they don't. Like Teapot Minion in the
Teapot.
story. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like brand new here in the minionry, and like they just kind of assigned him a name.
Yeah.
But that said, I usually choose them if I ever want to like express like a short story idea that's like kind of slapstick and humorous. So
Yeah.
that's almost all of them. I usually get more serious in the novels, but like I usually can't help myself when it comes to these short stories. It's just too easy to have fun with them.
Yeah, no, the minion concept is like incredible. Like some of the characters, like Teapot Minion, Teacher Minion, Druid Minion, Cosplay Minion it was very funny to read. Um, and just like I don't know how out of pocket like some of the minion names are, and just like the contrast between I feel like you kind of hint at their background a little bit in the story, but you don't like before they became minions and they went through this magical transformation by Overlord Chaos to become his minion. So that was really, I think, like interesting to see how the verses were set up. Um,
Thank you.
so I mean, I'm really curious. So you just mentioned like you just like slap some names on there. So how do you like pick the names like specifically for some of that?
Okay, in this case it sort of depends. Like just because Chaos has like tens of thousands of minions, I have been tempted at times to just be like, if this minion showed up at this moment and had this one slapstick gag, that'd be hilarious and it'd be very
Yeah.
enjoyable. And so sometimes I do that. Other times it's a minion I've pre-selected to be like sort of part of the plot, and that's usually because of like their backstory and who they were as a person.
Hmm.
Let's see here. Um, Gas Minion, for example,
Yeah.
former race car driver got in like a
Yeah.
massive accident, trying to like save some kids.
Hmm.
So like if that was like the thing going on in that story, and I would like ring in, I'd be like, hey, I should pull him in for this short story, and that would be a cool thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I hate to say it's about that simple. There's a few of the minions that are reoccurring characters in the actual books themselves.
Hmm.
But most of them just show up in the shorts or like pop in on like the little newsletter email list, like where the minions will swing by and like deliver email to the newsletter reader.
Yeah.
Um, that's usually where they come in. I'll be honest, it's not as well thought out as some people might think.
I mean, you do a good job of like I don't know, still framing that way because it was very interesting, like for me to read because they seemed like very properly thought out, like well fleshed, like out characters. Like they were, no, they were in like 2D like characters. Each of them had like a behavior that you could kind of ascribe to a real person that as crazy as each of the minions are. So um, that was like interesting to see.
Thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So another thing like we've been, hinting at a little bit in the conversation is just kind of like, you know, Overlord chaos and kind of that external world as to um what is going on. So I haven't had the pleasure of like reading the full book. I just kind of read like a few of the shorts on the website. So can you like provide some, context or like just talk about what the entire like world you've built around like Overlord chaos is like?
Sure thing. Sure thing. So, it's a really big thing. If you go over to the book section on the website, it'll kind of prime you on that. It's I guess if I'm gonna go with like one term, I've been sort of fighting between what term I want for like the universe. Like I've like on one end, like I think the Ink Realm sounds kind of catchy, but on the like lore end, the Holy Verses works really well, fits in very well thematically.
Yeah.
And I know that may sound like really crazy, especially just getting introduced, but I have a lot of readers who like say they really appreciate that I have like a lot of layers on this stuff, and the more they read these things, the more they see these things kind of connect, and
Yeah.
they say that's generally really satisfying. And like I can't say that for myself because I wrote it. Like
Hmm.
I kind of think I I write what I enjoy, but I'm not sure, you know. Um, so Chaos is originally from. Oh, gee, yeah, okay. I guess I can spoil this. He's from Erna, which is a
Hmm.
continent on this planet basically that has these royal knights,
Yeah.
and without giving too much away, basically he's absolutely villainized by these people.
Hmm.
Except the one that's currently in charge, who's Order. Like that's
Yeah.
that's her name. Like they all have like titles, these knights and overlords, just because they've done this stuff for hundreds and thousands of years, and
Yeah.
eventually you just kind of want a simple way to understand folks, so you can catch the normal person up to speed real fast when there's like
Yeah.
this panic drama between like dozens of overlord knights, duking it out. You don't want to remember all these names.
Yeah.
Um, right. So he's from this world, and he's like a total outcast, and he has this mysterious power. We'll call it ether,
Hmm.
which basically enhances the strength and intelligence and magic capacity of anything it clings onto.
Yeah.
It can only cling on to things that are conscious.
Yeah.
So if he extends that onto something and it takes to them, basically he infested them. Basically, they become his minion.
Yeah.
And aside from being more or less an idealized version of themselves, they
Hmm.
kind of also become a version of themselves that they see themselves as.
Yeah. Oh wow.
So in that way, you can kind of have like a hobby. If someone's obsessed with a hobby, there you
Hmm.
go. That's you suddenly
That's
become so good at it that like you're unbeatable.
yeah. So explains why a lot of the minions are like very specific. Like there's like a cooking minion and all of that. So I'm I'm really like interested in something you mentioned about not knowing whether you enjoy like or you're writing what you enjoy what you write. And I know for a lot of times like writing can seem like monotonous work, but what are some moments for you that like let you know like you enjoy doing what you're doing?
All right, that's a great question. That's very thoughtful. Let me think on this for a moment. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no
Uh,
problem.
I'll need to ponder this one for a moment, Bonway.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I suppose I know I'm having fun writing when I am writing dialogue between two characters and they're having a meaningful conversation.
Mhm.
Like everything else is fun, but I think the parts where I really like it really rings my bell
Yeah.
is when there's something important that I feel like on like a personal level, or
Mhm.
something that somebody I know could really do to hear these words, or someone out there. And I thought if we could have a talk, kind of like a Plato's Republic type thing,
Yeah.
and just talk this out, just hash it out.
Yeah.
What would you say, and what would this person say?
Yeah.
And I don't mean to say like there's a right or wrong answer to their
Mhm.
issues, but like sometimes you just want to unpack things, and it helps me understand it. That's a
Yeah.
very I guess in that way, writing is kind of therapeutic for me in that
Yeah.
specific way.
Oh, well, that's very poignant. I think lots of reading too is in the dialogue. Like when you really get drawn to characters, obviously like their actions play a role, but you really know who a character is or what author is trying to communicate, like through the words they speak to you and how the characters interact. So that
Oh,
makes a lot of
absolutely,
sense.
100%.
Yeah. So I'm also like curious about the wagon.
Oh, right, the wagon. Okay, I
Yeah.
suppose I suppose I should have provided some more context on that. Right, sorry. I usually try not to put too much too much context in these, like
Mhm.
prior, just because I know once I have like somebody who's introduced to like the general minionry slang and all that they
Yeah.
do, and their little jargon, they won't want me to explain it with every single time it pops up again.
Yeah.
So the minion wagon. The minion wagon, that showed up first in Wood Castle.
Mhm.
Uh, let's see here. That was the first novel really where the minions had a really big role.
Yeah.
Um, so the minion wagon essentially is like the ultimate capital punishment for minions.
Mhm.
and it's extremely mysterious.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, like Chaos just announces we're taking somebody to the minion wagon,
Yeah.
and everyone has like a little party, like a total Schadenfreude party,
Mhm.
just totally having a complete ball at the
Yeah.
suffering of this person, the
Yeah.
absolute horror of getting dragged off to the minion wagon.
Yeah.
You know, they bring out the little bands and the
Mhm.
little minion orchestra, and they all just follow along and parade this guy over to the wagon.
Yeah.
And it's in this like locked door at the bottom of one of his towers, and
Mhm.
voila, there it is. This wagon, this
Yeah.
horse-drawn wagon without like a horse,
Yeah.
bathed in like a insidious crimson light, and there you
Yeah.
go. Chaos pulls in the minion, locks the door
Yeah.
behind him, and then there's just screaming. There you
Yeah.
go. It's this highly mysterious, eldritch
Yeah.
entity, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's very funny to me,
Yeah.
and that might be extremely stupid to some people, but I get a big kick out of it.
No, that was hilarious. I loved seeing that because especially the part where like the minions were locked behind rooms that just replayed their worst nightmares, and the wagon was just like a recurring theme in all the minions. Like that's what got me interested in it. Like one, I think it was navigation minion was stuck in the middle of an ocean, and then the wagon
Oh yeah,
just kept on popping up like a shark. That actually killed me. Because I like when I
I
can laugh while reading
I
stories.
had so much fun writing that part.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, other like it seems like this world is like really like complex, really well thought out. So what was your inspiration for the Inkverse?
All right, let's see here. Inspiration. I mean, that's tough. I'll be
Mhm.
honest. Like, there's all sorts of things that a author can draw from when they're making something new,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of those things kind of fall to the back of the memory, and you're not really cognizant of them when you're
Hmm.
doing it.
Yeah.
So you're making this new thing, and if someone was like leaning over your shoulder and like looking at it and it's like young stages, they could point it out and be like, ah, that's like this thing. It's like Star Wars, but with I don't know, cats.
Yeah.
So I think there were a few moments where like in its younger stage, it was a lot more recognizable, and
Hmm.
I'm trying to think about what those things were. Give me a second. Um, I'd say, gee, I mean a lot of television, a lot of video games, a lot of anime.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like it's not fair to just point at one thing and be like, ah, that was my inspiration.
Hmm.
But I'll say something like the whole Overlord, but like quirky good versus evil dynamic.
Yeah.
I pulled from a game called Disgaea. I think that's probably where I got that from first.
Hmm.
That was an action RPG. No, it was just like a strategy RPG. Yeah, and I had a lot of fun with that. And like back then, I played a lot of video games. Didn't
Yeah.
have much else better to do, but like run in sports and go to school and
Yeah.
play video games.
Yeah. Oh, so
Let's see. Oh yes.
I'm like that's neat. Like if you have more to say, cause I have another question, but I'm gonna keep it till.
Oh, all good, all good. Yeah, I'm ready for another one.
All right. So how long like have you been I don't know like building this world because you mentioned like in its inception versus now and how it's become like much more complex and unrecognizable from its building blocks. So how long did that like take you or how long has this journey been for you?
Okay, so this one might be a bit of a left field. It's actually been about 14 years since I wrote the
Yeah.
first book.
Oh wow.
Um, and we're coming up on, if we're including novellas, we're coming up on book number 30 pretty soon.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Um, like not all of them are published. Like
Mhm.
I have like I've been getting a higher standard over the years. So there's some I've unpublished either
Mhm.
because they're no longer canon, and
Yeah.
like they ultimately ended up being like a really powerful soundboard for me to construct everything else off of,
Mhm.
or like I don't know, I just need to look at them again and make sure I like them. Like sometimes it's just that simple, I'm afraid.
Yeah. I mean that makes
Um,
sense.
yeah. So let's see here. Yeah, I'd say roughly 14 years.
Yeah,
That's probably the long and short of it.
that seems that's a long time. I mean, it makes sense like because a lot of the thoughts like you've put into it definitely like shows up in the writing and in your storytelling. So that's amazing to see. Um,
Th- Thank you.
yeah. And now, let's talk about Ankara Circle. So,
Of course.
yeah. So for you, like, what was your experience like? Like, how did you, find the contest and like get involved in the community?
So let's see here. On Car Circle, uh, love love it by the way. Love the platform. I found you guys on a writing forum, and I
Hmm.
saw that you guys were asking for submissions, and I was like, you know what, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
Every now and again, I feel like I got to get myself out there.
Yeah.
So I pull away from the writing a bit, and I just decide to like post things around places.
Hmm.
Like usually some of my favorite short stories, if there are recent ones or anything that hasn't really like been like widely published or anything, something that makes it feel like special and nice for them.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm like, I'll do this here. And I
Hmm.
saw Ankara Circle, and I saw you guys were having a little contest, which to me was, it was a motivator, but it wasn't
Yeah.
like the main thing. I was just interested in like interacting with a new platform and just kind of like saying hi, putting my stuff out there.
Yeah.
And that's really how I got started. I figured I'm gonna try one short story. I'm gonna see how it goes,
Hmm.
and if something neat happens, I'll post another one.
Yeah. All
So
right.
yeah. Long story short, that's it, sir.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's pretty simple. We're pretty young, so I know. Still building this like world of ours, and we have like so much stuff like coming out that I'm really excited to release. But
Really, new
keeping
stuff, you say?
yeah, mom's the word for now.
Okay, all good. I'll respect it. I'll respect
yeah,
it.
but I think it's going to be like some really like amazing stuff. So and then so what other stories have you like enjoyed? Because I like asking this to everyone like I have one of these sessions with. So.
Okay, very good question. Other Ankara stories I've enjoyed. I've enjoyed a couple of them, but I'd say the one that kept me longest, that's also a featured story, actually. I
Yeah.
just checked the front page and I was like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Was Queen of Night. I
Yeah.
thought that was a really cool one, and I thought that was a good style. I
Yeah.
liked I don't know, it was very solemn, and like that's more so in like my taste of reading, I think.
Yeah.
Like okay, don't get me wrong. I love writing crazy stuff and I love reading crazy stuff, but
Mhm.
sometimes I just kind of want to sit down and like drink my tea and sip something to like, a good I guess like a good story written by someone like Victoria
Yeah.
Nandini, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Uh, yes?
hey, that was a good story.
Yes, it
Yeah.
positively was.
Yeah. It's been an experience just like exploring just like different stories like written by I don't know. I feel like a lot of the people on Akashaku are like generally newer writers than you're pretty like experienced. Simon too, the author of the Clockwork King, is also like someone who's also a more experienced writer. But part of the reason I started is just to give like younger people like a place to just soundboard like ideas off of and a community to be a member of. So like seeing that story was like win the contest was like a moment of just like happiness for me because I was like it was kind of like affirmation that we were doing the right thing, you know?
Yeah, I was I
Yeah,
was I was quite happy to hear that.
yeah,
It feels like you guys are setting out and you're doing the thing you're setting out to do. So
yeah,
I'm certain that was like a big like light bulb moment for you guys.
yeah, yeah. It was, and just like even speaking to her, like, cause she's like, I don't know, love a couple of people I've spoken to, also the person I spoke to like previously, they're like pretty young, so uh, that was like that's exciting for me. Yeah. No shade on. I don't know how old you are, but I'd imagine you're
pretty pretty old, pretty old. You got me there. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
reasonably old.
yeah,
1980 was my birthday.
yeah. Oh wow.
Yep.
Okay.
So there you go. This is
Yeah,
this is a great hobby. Maybe one day
yeah,
it'll be more. I hope it will be more one day.
yeah.
But I think I got quite a few more books before that.
Yeah, I mean you're already doing great work. Like if you submit your story and like some I don't know random person just like reach out, it's like, hey, we'd love to just speak to you about how good your story is, and I think you're on the right track.
I like to hope so. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm flattered. Appreciate you having
yeah,
me here.
yeah. It's great having you, and it's great for you being a member of our community. So everyone, again, this is Kell Inkston, the author of Hell Owl's Vengeance on Akara Circle. You can also check out his stories on kellingston.com if you want to like read more of his stuff. And thank you for joining us, Kel.
Thank you so much for having me on, Punley. You have a great day.